In this video, I'm going to talk about tips for selling your home. Who doesn't want to know a little bit of free advice before you get ready to put your house on the market, even in a hot seller's market that the United States is enjoying right now? Are you ready? Let's make it happen. So I'm doing this video in the owner's suite shower of my one of my current listings here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Middle Street, and that is in the central north side. It's such a beautiful listing. I thought, what better place to do a vlog than the unit itself? I've also done another one on condo docs in the kitchen of this property, so make sure you search my YouTube channel for that. Tip number one, probably the most important, even though I'm going to put this tip as the first one and not the last one and make you stay to the end of the video, I would say it's probably one of the smallest but yet most important. And it is tip number one, curb appeal. We all know that everybody, all human beings, make a split decision on whether they want to buy something, they want to go in the house or whatever. So the number changes all the time. But I think it's within 1 to 2 seconds when a car pulls up to the front of the house and they look at it, do you get that warm feeling of, oh, it's inviting, you know, I want to go inside this house. I'm very interested in making this house mine. Or do I pull up and like, oh, look at all the work I gotta do. Man, that house is ugly. How are we gonna make it pretty? I don't even know if I wanna go in. Can we just drive right by it? That has happened to me before as a buyer's agent as well. So it goes without saying, you wanna make sure you get a very strong first impression from the exterior. So curb appeal is huge. I'm not gonna dig into it. I mean, by now you should know, grass cut, trees trimmed, flowers if you can, depending on the season. Get fake flowers out there. Talk to a landscape company and see what you could do. Maybe you're in a location that's not where I'm at in Pittsburgh. Maybe you're down in Florida and you have hardscape. Make sure your hardscape is up to snuff. Make sure your light fixtures outside. You know, those things are like 40 bucks a piece at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it'll bring it well into the modern era. So spend a couple shekels and make that happen. Tip number two is declutter. So I say this all the time. If you've ever bought a house from a builder, if you ever built a house from a builder, when you go into the remodel, you don't see a bunch of clutter. You know, you don't see ketchup bottles outside, a bunch of tissue boxes and all that stuff inside the house. Clean that stuff up. And you can literally get a box at the end of your countertop, get your arm, scoop it all into that box. I mean, if you're selling your house, I love saying this, you're planning on moving. Now, if you're one of those sellers that are like, I'm just gonna ask this pie in the sky number, get a new real estate agent that has no listings to list it, and hope for the best. I mean, forget about it, okay, leave all that stuff there. But for the most part, when people sign a listing contract and put it on the market, they typically want to sell. So you're gonna package up your stuff anyway. Let's declutter, throw that stuff away, package it up for your next house. If you want to clutter, that's totally fine, it's totally up to you. And another thing you want to do when you declutter is, at least for the photos, take those religious symbols down, take your personal photos of your family down, and lastly, take away your designations, your degrees, all that stuff you've earned. I mean, realistically, it's definitely not an insult. I mean, you just don't want that stuff on the internet. You know, nowadays we have these high definition photos, they can see everything. You really don't, I mean, sure, they can get the information if they want. You're probably blasting it all over Facebook, but why make it easy? And really, whenever they walk through the house, we don't want them looking at the walls and looking at your daughter and your son, grandparents, you know, oh, he went to school there, she graduated there. No, you want them looking at, wow, check out this black Delta faucet head. Look at this beautiful white towel with gray grout. I mean, that's what we want them to look at. So just try to depersonalize whenever you're decluttering. Tip number three, and this is an easy one, clean. I recommend my sellers, you know, listen, bite the bullet. Call a professional cleaning company. I would just pick one, Google it, look in the yellow pages, whatever your outlet is for information, and go with a reputable company, somebody that's, you know, licensed, and if they break something, you could, you know, get recompense for it. They come in uniforms, whatever, and have them come in and do what's called a detail clean. Most cleaning companies know what that is. It's not just your everyday weekly clean or monthly clean where they come and dust and mop a little bit. They come in detail because you haven't had it detailed. Just picture a car, let's just say you're in a nice car, an old classic car, Corvette, whatever, and you want to sell it. You may spend hours to go out there and detail it, and maybe you want to do that with your house, or you may just want to save time and get it done professionally and correctly and just take it down to a detailer. So that's what we say about getting the house detailed. It does make the difference. Everything makes a difference. Again, even though we are currently in a seller's market where there are more buyers than there are houses for sale, it can make a couple $1,000 difference each one of these points I'm talking about today. And tip number 4 is you want to call me. If you're in the Miami, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida area, or the greater Pittsburgh area, you want to call me. I've got a lot more tips, tricks, and ammo in my guns to get the property sold. But in all seriousness, you want to call a full-time professional realtor. If you choose to go with Aunt Betty that does it on the side, that just does really need the money. I understand, I'm not saying part-time agents cannot get it done. I will just say that full-time career agents and teams, a lot of teams, they get coached. They have systems in place. They have policies in place, protocol, either for themselves or their team and their vendors. Like for instance, I have one of the best photographers, videographers, and 3D, 3 different people, 3D companies like the Matterport type deal for my listings. And you know, a lot of agents don't have access to that or don't spend the money or whatever, but it makes a huge difference when you put the listing on the market. So who you call is very important. If you're thinking about selling anywhere in the United States, actually, let me just throw this out there. Comment below, DM me, smoke signals, however you want to get a hold of me, and say, hey, do you know an agent? I live in Wisconsin, I'm getting ready to sell. Just reach out to me. I have an intranet, so to speak, where I can look up agents that have earned designation, that have a lot of reviews, that I may have already done business with. So feel free to reach out to me and ask me for a referral. I'd be happy to do a little bit of research and get you the information. Okay, tip number 5 is, actually before I give you tip number 5, if you can hit the subscribe button, click the bell, and then all notifications, anytime I get a super interesting video like this one, you'll be notified. So tip number 5 is, take your seller's hat off, and what that means is, it's your house, it's your possession. You probably have raised kids there, or maybe you're a renovator or flipper, you flipped it and you just put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. Take your seller's hat off and how just absolutely fantastic your house is. It's the best house in the zip code to hit the market. I mean, it's just amazing, but meanwhile, it smells like dog. It hasn't had an update since 1990, etc. Actually, if you have a good agent, your agent should come in with the buyer's hat on in their buyer's eyes. I'm gonna ask you to put your buyer's hat on in your buyer's eyes. So take away the bias and try to walk through from the front door. What does it smell like? What does the curb appeal look like when you first come in the house? What is your first impression? You may come in your house every day and know that, you know, your engineered hardwood floors have separated a little. I may know this from experience. And you walk over it every day and you're like, I don't need to worry about it. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. But when you go to sell it, you do need to worry about it. And that's okay if you lived your whole life in that house and you didn't want to do it. Or your laminate countertop was cracked because when you were one of your boys, when you were raising them, you know, they were playing around with the other one, fell and cracked it off, but it didn't bother you enough to replace it. Then, now is that time to replace it. So I'm asking you to put your buyer's eyes on, your buyer's glasses, so to speak, your buyer's hat, and take a walk through and just be completely honest with yourself. Does the house smell? Well, you probably won't smell, you're probably used to it. If you have cigarettes, dogs, etc., you're a realtor, you can ask them. Be honest, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor. Does my house have any odors? And if you have a really good realtor, top professional realtor, they're just gonna tell you anyway. I mean, they're not telling you to insult you or hurt your feelings. They're just telling you to help you to make the house as sellable as possible, quickly and for the most money. So tip number 5 is put your buyer's glasses on. Tip number 6, yeah, you're gonna look around to see what your Zestimate is on Zillow. A lot of people gravitate there and a lot of realtors hate it. I personally don't mind it. When Zillow first started doing that 13, 14 years ago, their algorithms were just brand new, so the Zestimate was pretty far off. But in reality, what that does is that gives your listing agent an opportunity to shine. It gives them an opportunity to show you what the market value is for your home. So I do still, even if you call me and say, I want to list 123 Anywhere Street with you, I will go to the Zillow and look at the Zestimate and just see what range it's in. But don't take that as the word of God. I mean, Zillow will be the first to tell you, it's in their fine print. They have not been in the home. They don't know what type of updates. They're just going off of data only. So it's not a bad place to start, but certainly, you know, if Zillow says your house is worth $1 million and your agent comes in and shows you comps that says it's worth 800,000, don't get upset. So I guess, tip number 6 is try to keep an open mind about Zillow and the Zestimate and the value of your home. Don't get too upset. Have realistic expectations, or at least be open to them. Okay, so tip number 7 is, I'm not a first-time home seller. I've sold 6 homes, 20 homes in my life. I don't care how many homes you've sold, unless you're selling 50 to 70, which is what your listing agent should be selling annually in most markets. You're not going to know more than your listing agent. And if you know more than your listing agent, you shouldn't be hiring that listing agent. So here's the deal. The way we market homes in 2021 is vastly different than 1990, the year 2000, the 2010s. Hell, it's different than 2019. With the invention of the internet made it better, but changed the real estate, specifically this real estate world, forever. There are so many tools. There was the internet, then there was Facebook, then there was Instagram, then maybe before that there was LinkedIn, then there was Instagram stories, then there's Facebook stories, now there's Instagram or LinkedIn stories, then there's TikTok, Pinterest, IGTV, 3D tours, drone photos, drone videos, professional photos. See, all this stuff came just like a tornado into our lives. So if you don't have a listing agent that is utilizing these tools, and it's very simple to find out if they're doing it. If they're in the continental United States, go to their Zillow profile. Look, do they have a 3D tour? Do the photos look like they're high definition? Now, when the high definition photos get put on the MLS, it degrades the quality immediately because the MLS has to reduce the size because their servers are X amount or X small, X big, whatever. And then Realtor.com, Zillow, your local Remax, whatever, they will scrub those photos from either Zillow or the MLS and put it in their system, and the quality degrades a little bit further. So if I send you a Dropbox link from the professional photos and then you go on Realtor.com and look like, what the heck happened? It's not the realtor's fault, it's not the photographer's fault. It just does degrade to be able to fit these websites. So yeah, you sold a home years ago, but I'm telling you, things have changed. We've got DocuSign now. I've represented sellers I've never met. Don't even know what their face looks like. They sent me in their house through a garage door keypad code because they moved already. I sent them all the paperwork via DocuSign. They signed their closing documents in front of a notary wherever they live, and I got a check in the mail, they got a check in the mail. That's it. So again, the way homes are marketed and sold is vastly different from, more than likely, unless you're a flipper doing high volume and sold a house in 2020, it's different than whenever you sold a home. All right, so I hope you enjoyed some tips and tricks to get your home sold. Hopefully you saw this video before you put your house on the market. Again, if I could be of assistance in any way, find me on Instagram at Brian Sells Pittsburgh, at Brian Sells Miami. You can DM me that way. You can see how I market videos and listings, and then try to make that a standard. I could try to find you somebody as well. I'd be more than happy to help out. So make sure again you subscribe, hit the bell, all notifications. Enjoy your day.